Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Hope Podcast today. We have Shane Heintz from Iowa House District 51.
Yep.
Welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Glad you're here. So would you mind just starting out by telling us what got you interested to run for office? Like, you seem like you're kind of just would prefer to be like a regular everyday Iowan, but you had something called you to step up and get into this, right?
I guess I feel like I just saw too much of what's happening. Just frustrated with how, people just, they don't, I've talked to so many people that are just frustrated that they have no voice.
Yeah.
That they've kind of just walked away from all of it. They don't want to be involved with it. They don't want anything to do with it. And like I've said a few times when I'm talking to people, there are too many politicians in politics.
Yeah.
And my goal is to bring back a regular blue jeans guy with some common sense.
Thank you.
That I'm not for sale.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be owned by anybody.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's kind of what got me there.
I just think that's refreshing. I mean, it's you're not some guy who's a wonder boy trying to go to Des Moines and turn everything around.
No.
It's just like, listen, I'm a business owner. I'm from a town. I got a community around me. Things aren't right. I'm just going to do my best to set it right.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like I said, I sat too close. The representative I'm running against right now was our city mayor for several years.
Mm-hmm.
My hometown that I've lived in my entire life.
Which is Nevada?
Which is Nevada.
Yep.
Nevada's in pretty serious financial stress right now, and a lot of that goes back and lays at Brett's feet.
Oh, really?
And
like what? Tell us, like what?
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of things. Probably one of the biggest financial things that we have right now is our new wastewater plant that was sold to us at about a $20 million project. Last I knew, it has crested $70 million and still doesn't really work properly.
Why?
And it's about 3 years past schedule.
What's the story? Like how?
Well, so originally I think they said that we couldn't add on or rebuild where our current facility was. So then they ended up moving about 8 miles south of town.
This is after they signed on the dotted line that it was going to be 20 million?
There's a lot of haziness to the whole situation, and that's part of it. We have one real big business in town that uses a ton of water, and
which now there's a million towns in Iowa that are dealing with that with the data centers.
Yes.
We're having that in Cedar Rapids right
yes.
now. Yep.
So there's a business in town that uses a ton of water.
Mm-hmm.
They had come to the table because I think originally this entire thing was set in motion by the DNR.
Okay.
That we were nearing the end of, we were going to have to do something. Plus we have this big business that uses a lot of water.
Mm-hmm. Needed to be done.
Right.
Yep.
I'm not blaming it on somebody. It was just how it is.
That's the first thing. Let's face reality as it is.
Yes. So it was something that needed to be done. That fault doesn't belong to anybody except for, just the way the world works.
Yeah. Takes maintenance to run a city.
Right. The faults started happening once we decided to go down this road.
Mm-hmm.
And the company that uses a bunch of water in town, they had come to the table and said, hey, we're willing to put so many dollars in this because we realize that this is largely driven by us.
Okay.
So we had some.
So they're a company. They probably have a lot of employees. They're committed to their, which is good. These are good things, right? We need our communities. So they volunteered.
Yes.
We'll contribute to this project.
Yes.
Well, that's cool.
I think there had been a couple different scenarios where they either wrote a one-time check or where they paid different rates. I think they had offered some money up front.
Okay.
And so Nevada really kind of just had a handshake agreement with this. Well, then as the costs began to spiral out of control.
So as a community, at least in through looking through your eyes, like a lot of us, I think we tend to have a suspicious or an accusatory look at our big businesses, like they're just trying to use us up. But that's not necessarily the case.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I think that based on how it started, they came to the table in good faith to negotiate, a way to make this move forward.
Yeah.
The problem happened is as the cost started spiraling out of control, they at one point, so there was never there was never anything signed. There was never anything documented. There was never anything put into place.
Yep.
And I think that was probably one of our biggest faults right out of the gate, is not having something signed before we ever moved a single shovel of dirt.
They started down the process.
Yes.
You're, in your opinion, in good faith, just trying to fix something.
I believe so.
Working like, I mean, honestly, I'm a business guy. Like, one of my favorite things about dealing with people in Iowa is usually you don't have to do things with a signed contract. And like being able to just have a foundation of trust actually is a generally good thing.
Yes.
But I can see where it would.
But it spiraled out of control. And as of right now, the company has kind of backed off, and they're not willing to really do much of anything. I mean, I think their original offer still stands, but now that the thing is over 3 times what it was supposed to cost,
How
it's
much
leaving.
do you know about like what happened or what changed that made it go from, okay, we think it's going to be 20 million, you know, obviously 70 million is a lot more than that. Like,
I think that we probably didn't have good contracts. I think we probably didn't have good engineering to start with. I don't think we had a good scope of cost before we started.
okay.
I think we had a dream and some arbitrary number. But again, when you all of a sudden have to pipe 8 miles out of town, then now you have to start talking to a bunch of farmers.
Right of way.
You know, one of the things that they said is, we're going to run this in the county right of way.
Okay.
And the county said no, because the road they want to run on, and I know this gets very local.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Like, we're here to talk about local politics.
But
like,
so the road they wanted to run down the side of is an overused road, and it is on the schedule to be widened and modernized.
so they're like, hey, we got to run this water down this road. And the county's like, well, we already are planning to rip this all up and widen it.
And so what they were saying is, you know, if you even were able to do this, when we go to do this road project, you're going to have to dig it all up and move it.
Yeah.
And so the right of way is already plugged up. There isn't room. And I watched the county video. They were never going to allow us to run it in the right of way. I mean, I watched the video. Is very clear that we're never going to let us run it.
They just didn't want to.
No, there wasn't room. You know, just all the
like realistically,
the logistics of it just wasn't going to work.
Okay.
But I think people from the city came back and said, oh, well, we're going to run it in the right of way. And then when it came out, no,
it's a lot easier to sell a project to, like, when it was, it's a lot easier to believe something that you want to believe.
Yes. Yeah. So then when it came out that no, that wasn't going to happen, then they had to go start getting easements through all the farm ground.
Yeah. And of course that's like, well, hey, listen, that's my ground. What, you know,
and there was a lot of tore up field tiles that took several years to get fixed. And so farmers were out, you know,
and the
the farmers are
enraged
upset
at the city, and
the construction company had tore open a gravel road and just had it open and tore up, and the county was pretty upset about it. I mean, it's not a very well traveled road, but it's still one of their roads.
Somebody's roads, yeah.
To come out and find it all tore up,
yeah,
with no notice or permits or anything.
Oh, no notice, no permits.
Yeah, they had just tore it up, and
who did that?
The construction company. And I think the construction company that they hired takes plenty of blame in this whole thing too. Near as I can tell, they seem like a very incompetent construction company.
Okay. You know why they got selected?
Low bid.
Low bid.
It's always low bid. Yeah. We hire low bid stuff every time, and it ends up costing us.
And that's something like, hey, we're in right-wing politics. We're about fiscal responsibility and all that, right?
Well, and so
but the cheapest price isn't always the best value.
But see, what they do is they'll sell you a low bid.
Yep.
And then you go to the council meetings, and it's change order. That's the business model. Like, that's how you make your money. And the council just sits there and just stamps it, and away we go. And all of a sudden, this, you know, small project has become an extraordinary project.
And so is it the mayor's office that, in your opinion, bears, I mean, maybe not just for this project, but like somebody's got to be the quarterback running these projects for any city, right? And that's typically got to be the mayor, right?
Well,
or his team.
We have a city administrator.
Okay.
And we hired a city administrator.
Hired by the city council?
Hired by the city council.
Okay, so it's city administrator's responsibility to run a project like this.
And our city administrator had been fired from his last city administrator job. Or maybe
he from Nevada?
No. No,
Okay.
no. Nevada is only a stepping stone for any city administrator.
Well,
that
that's the
comes
problem
through.
I've seen with like places. I grew up in Cedar Rapids, and like, you know, these city administrators come in like, you know, Wonder Boy, save the day, and they have this great grand plan, and they do some cool stuff. But the bottom line is, Cedar Rapids is a stepping stone to Des Moines, and Des Moines is a stepping stone to Omaha. And like, these people aren't rooted in our communities; they don't care. Like,
No, and that's one of the big problems I've had with these city
I
administrators.
didn't know
that we've
towns as
hired.
small as Nevada had city administrators.
It's new.
Okay.
I mean, I can't tell you how long we've had one, but we've had several. The high watermark of the last city administrators that I can recall was a couple administrators ago, and he didn't do anything.
Wow.
That was the high watermark to not do anything.
No, he just didn't cause any
He
damage.
just didn't do anything at all.
And there's nothing wrong. I mean, whatever. In theory, a city administrator could do a great job, right? And could care for the community.
Could.
Like, it's not inherently wrong necessarily, but
No.
yeah.
And the thing of it is Nevada's a large enough town. We have people.
What's the population?
7,000.
Okay.
Nevada has enough people in its town that there is someone in our town that could do that job. Probably a couple, 2 or 3 people in that town.
Yeah, right.
And they aren't moving on to the next town.
Yeah.
They would do it with their heart and the
Right.
best of the community in their mind. Whereas these other people don't care. The only thing they're doing is padding a resume and moving on.
Yeah, and there's like this whole like industry in like bringing, you know, that now our colleges are pipeline. That's another degree they can get people in. And well, if you crank out this many people with this type of degree, well, you need to create this many jobs in all these towns that like actually we never needed this. Like we're pretty competent people in Iowa. Our little cities produce people that at a bare minimum care about the city, but like also people who are competent to run small businesses, to run construction projects, to run all this stuff. That's like this kind of like. But I think the way this has happened, at least in my mind, in our cities, is like we, the people, bear a good portion of this blame, because what we've kind of wanted to do is like, I just want to vote somebody into the government so I don't have to worry about it. But the government is by the people, you know, for the people and of the people. And like, I just think, I mean, I was here in the, you know, 2016. I wasn't even voting in the presidential election. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I was just kind of like disillusioned with the whole thing. And I've had to kind of had my come to Jesus moment in politics about, well, if you don't participate, then our form of government fails.
Yeah.
It fails in Washington, D.C., but it also fails in Cedar Rapids and in Nevada.
Yeah. We were talking on the way over here, and there are moments during this process for me where I have gone back and forth on whether I can even affect any change. I mean, I'm one representative.
Yep.
What can I really do? And I feel like the government is so overcomplicated by design to keep people out of it.
Yeah.
And that the machine is just so large and so entrenched, you know, it does get you down when you start thinking about, you know, what can I do? And even if I do something,
Right.
you know, even if I was to put forward a bill that was a great bill, the bill isn't what goes to, that's not what becomes the law. It still has to go to the attorneys, and then they redo everything and change it. And the bill I pass or write might not even be what the law is.
Yeah. And even if the law is good, the law gets handed off to the department that figures out how to implement it.
Exactly. And it is overly complicated for the sake of being complicated to keep regular people out of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I have said, I may just be one person and I may only have so much ability to do anything, but one thing I can do is shine a very bright light on stuff that I find wrong.
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
well,
that's-
yeah,
that's
Jesus
really
says,
the
like,
only
be the
thing I
light of the
can-
world.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can really do. And my wife and I, we have apartments and we have business, and we deal occasionally with people on the wrong side of the law. And
Yeah.
the judicial lack of judicial activity we have in our area. A lot of times the only thing we have left is the public shaming. So I go through and I have posted videos of the apartments that people leave behind.
Yeah.
And, you know,
like, you're the landlord.
I'm the
Somebody
landlord.
doesn't pay for a few months. You go through
Yep.
the eviction process.
and then you get a destroyed apartment.
Yeah. So
you know, we can get a
not only
judgment,
do you not get paid, but you have to
clean it.
clean
Yeah.
it. And okay.
And the thing that people don't understand. Well, that's going to cost you a fortune to fix that up. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't cost me. It costs the next renter.
Yeah.
That's something they just don't think about,
Right.
Yes, it costs me up front.
Yeah.
But what that means...
It costs the community.
Yeah. It means higher rents. It means apartments that are offline that people can't rent.
Yep.
Higher
insurance costs because you're making claims and...
Yes.
Yeah.
It's...
Yeah. Yeah. I guess a lot of this stuff is we're kind of looking at Goliath when we look at the government.
Yeah.
And
it's intimidating.
Yeah.
And I think it's supposed to be that way.
Right.
Well, it's not supposed to be that way, but that's what we have.
Our enemies have designed it that way.
Correct.
Yes. Satan's a great intimidator, and he just tries to hopelessness is if you can be paralyzed through hopelessness by whoever our enemies are, well, you're out of the game.
And that's fair. That's exactly some of the emotions I've gone through during this process is, how do I fight an incumbent? How do I fight the amount of money that they have to spend against me?
Right.
Saying whatever. I mean, they've already started saying things about me, and it does feel insurmountable sometimes.
Yeah.
But the more people that I talk to, I'm out there campaigning for myself. I'm the one that's actually knocking on the doors and talking to people. I don't have an
Nevada's
army.
not that big of a town. You can go make a lot. And I know the district is bigger than Nevada, but
right.
Yeah.
So, I have been doing this myself. I don't have an army of people out there, spreading my word for me. I'm out there doing it myself. And it seems like it resonates with people.
Yeah.
People want to be able to see, and I always, laugh, I have dirty hands. I work for a living.
Yeah.
And most people in my district are working people.
Right.
They're regular farmers or construction people.
Business owners, whatever. Yeah.
Business owners. Yeah. They're people that work for a living.
Yeah. Yeah. So you own apartments and you have what other businesses do you run?
So my wife and I own 3 laundromats.
Okay.
And I am the full-time maintenance staff, and my wife is the full-time cleaning staff. And
that's amazing.
Yeah. I'm the number 1 employee of my wife.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Love it.
But this campaign is the same as we've really kind of lived our lives, because my wife is always behind me doing the boring, the paperwork, the insurance, compliance. She does all the stuff that nobody ever gets to see, and I'm the one out. I'm the pretty face. That everybody sees out in the wild.
Yep.
It must be so great to do this or do that. And I always tell them, I said, my wife's at home doing all the stuff you don't see.
Right. And that's an attitude that is needed because that, microcosm of a family, entrepreneur family like that. Well, yeah, you are the face and but there also is a burden of responsibility that I can see that you take seriously.
Yeah.
That same attitude or system is set up in another way for a politician that has his voters behind him in Des Moines. And that, I think, is where a lot of politicians go wrong, is if you just simply arrogantly took the credit for everything that your wife does in your business and ran around and wasted the money and were irresponsible with your businesses would perform badly, right? And they would eventually go under. Is that not what happens in Des Moines often when we have somebody that represents a community and just does so irresponsibly and selfishly?
Yeah. Well, yes. Yes. I couldn't do anything that I have done in my adult life without her.
Yeah.
As much as we enjoy rattling each other on the rare occasion.
Very rare occasion.
Yeah, very rare occasion. I couldn't do it without her. And
you guys going out door knocking together and stuff?
Have not. The only person that's been out door knocking with me so far has been my daughter, and that was just a competition to see who could get all their door hangers out first.
How many? Who
So-
won the contest?
I don't know. She might have got me.
Yeah,
She
you
might
wouldn't
have got
admit
me.
it for
No.
sure if she did. Okay.
Yeah. Now we've only done that just once so far. Mostly it's been just me, and
Okay.
I probably will get out and do some more with the kids. They'll probably help a little bit more.
Yeah,
As we
I'm a
kinda
homeschool
run-
kid. That sounds like a great class to put
Yeah.
them through. Yeah. Put 'em
Well,
to work.
unfortunately, it ends up being Saturdays and Sundays
Yep.
because we've got softball and track and everything else at night, and
Yeah.
got a pretty busy schedule with the kids.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I was reading a story about I found you probably. I mean, obviously you know all about this, but your laundromats had some kind of vandalism. When was that? A couple years ago or something?
Oh, which time?
Well, there's one in the news. I was hoping you could tell the story of like where apparently somebody had done some damage.
Yeah.
And the police were refusing, or the prosecutor wasn't going to press charges because of some conversation you had. You know, you knew who the person was who did it, and you had talked to him. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Hope Podcast. If you want to check out my book, Hope from the Ashes of January 6th, it's a great book if you want to learn about January 6th, if you want to learn about faithfulness, if you want to learn about how God can keep you in perfect peace when your mind is set on Him. It doesn't matter if you're being prosecuted, if you're facing months in prison, if you're facing years in prison, if you're already in prison, God is available to produce perfect peace inside of you if you set your mind on Him. And I tell that story and many others in Hope from the Ashes of January 6th. You can get it on iowaleo.com or on Amazon. Thank you.
We have found the police to be less and less helpful. I don't blame the police. I blame the people that instruct the police.
Sure.
But we've had a numerous troubles with homeless and vandalism and other things, and we police it pretty hard ourselves. But what the police really like to do is they really like to make it into some sort of civil case, because then it's not their problem.
Yeah. I mean, human nature, right? Like, I'm already busy. I got too much on my plate, whatever.
Well,
but
And I feel bad for them, because it's got to be frustrating to do all the work and have the county attorney not prosecute anything
yeah.
over and over. I mean, it's frustrating for me every time it happens to me. It's not happening to me every single day. Like
So
it
the
does
police
them.
actually aren't the issue. It's the attorney.
Well, our local county attorney is wildly liberal and doesn't, I think, the previous county attorney, who the new county attorney says he models his career after her. She told me that without blood, they really don't even consider crime. And even if there is blood, there needs to be a certain amount of blood before they even consider it really a crime.
Whoa.
And that's why elections are important. I mean, the judges are the same. Now we have one store in a county over, and the police there don't mess around. I mean, we have had stuff happen there too, and the police are Johnny on the spot, and they prosecute immediately.
Yeah.
It's a world different one county over.
I mean, so like, how do you think that happens for like your county? What county is it? Story County.
Story County.
Like, okay, so Story County, like I think like, oh, it's probably like a rural county in Iowa, probably a lot of good, wholesome values, Christian people who are committed to justice and righteousness in the law, people who are committed to the Declaration of Independence that says the government's job is to secure the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And somehow you end up with this county attorney that won't prosecute a crime unless there's blood? Like, hello?
A few years ago, we had a guy kill his 3 or 4 month old baby. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Killed his 2 or 3 month old baby in one of our apartments.
Oh, man.
And I hate to even talk about this, because the gal that lived there, everybody tried to tell her. She had worked for us. She's fantastic young lady. I mean, really came from
The mom?
The mom.
Oh.
Really came from the rough side of the tracks.
Yeah.
And was doing everything in her power to not raise her children on the wrong side of the tracks.
And it's so hard to like
And
come out of that.
And they had, during the investigation, they came up with his phone, and he had countless messages about how he was going to kill these kids and with his other baby mamas and the drug use and all of this stuff. And the county attorney only got him with child neglect causing death. They didn't get him with murder because they just didn't want to drag the family through that mess.
Oh, well, thank you, county attorney, for your wisdom and benevolence that what?
Well, it gets worse. So this guy who killed his 3-month-old baby.
Yep.
I think it was 3 months.
Close enough.
Close enough.
Okay. Yep.
His uncle died.
Okay.
And so we took 2 sheriffs and we loaded him up and took him back to Illinois so he could go to his uncle's funeral while he was in prison.
Oh, wow.
And I think that if you have killed your 3-month-old baby, you have lost your right to go to your uncle's funeral.
So the county paid for this?
Yes.
Who made the decision to do that?
I can't even begin to imagine. It would have to come from the county attorney.
So I have
a
a murderer in my community. My county prosecutor will not prosecute the murder. But it probably had something to do with getting a plea deal, I'm assuming. So he didn't have to go to the work of the court, right?
Yeah, there was some plea deal.
You plead guilty to this,
and now the mom has to come in. I think she told us she has to go in every couple of years, otherwise they'll parole him.
Oh, so now the mom is bearing part of the sentence.
Yes.
I mean,
and I think that she did ultimately leave the area because she just couldn't raise the remaining child in this environment.
Right. The government's job, per the Declaration of Independence and per the Bible, is to secure the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That county attorney is derelict in that duty.
Yes.
Right.
And that's why I try to get people to vote out the judges that we have every time they come up, because it's the same poisoned environment.
Yeah.
I had my father's house after he got sick and passed. We had gone out to get stuff from his place and it had been burglarized. And a few months later, some of the items had turned up and I ended up in court with a victim impact statement, and the guy who had stolen the stuff, his attorney talked about his turning a new leaf and, on and on. And
no doubt. Yeah.
I think it was less than a month later and he was in jail again for something again.
Right.
And so basically I got nothing except for I got a couple of my father's items returned, but that was about all I got.
Yeah. And the thing,
it was my father's military.
Oh, like treasured family heirlooms.
Yes. My father served in Vietnam and my grandfather served in World War II. And
they had medals
their medals, dress uniforms were all stolen. Jeez. And judging by the value on the open market, they were likely cut up and sold off for pieces because
you never got those back.
No, I got like a jacket that had my dad's, just a field jacket that had my dad's.
Yeah, the guy hadn't gotten around to selling that one yet.
Right.
Yeah. What? I mean, are those things worth thousands of dollars?
Medals and patches can be worth some money.
I suppose again, World War II or Vietnam, there's probably collectors and stuff for that stuff.
Well, and my dad served in the 101st Airborne.
He did?
Which was just, the Screaming Eagles.
The Screaming Eagles, Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan.
And that stuff.
They were so in high school, Mom would have me read my history, and the 101st Airborne Division was my favorite to read about. And the Siege of Bastogne and Operation Market Garden, right?
Yeah. So I was unaware of what 101st Airborne meant until I met my wife's brother-in-law. He's a West Point family.
Oh, wow.
And he was kind of explaining it because Dad never talked about it.
Yeah, these guys are some of the such humble people and just... Yeah.
Well, and you don't join the 101st Airborne. You are recruited.
Okay.
And Dad was just in a regular infantry group. And he was told... Well, I met the guy that recruited him, and he actually apologized to me because he said, your dad was about to go home. And he said, but I needed your dad.
Yeah.
So I kept your dad there for an extra 6 months or whatever it was.
1944 or something like that.
No, this was Vietnam. So
Vietnam.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay, your grandfather. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
My grandfather was a military police. I think he was stationed in the Philippines.
Okay.
So I don't know that he was a combat veteran, but,
Sure.
Dad was absolutely a combat veteran.
Yeah. Man.
But, so having the house broke into and end of life care being what it is, my dad worked his entire life for a manila folder and a small box.
Yeah.
Because most everything else was gone or stolen or.
Yeah.
So that's pretty disappointing to me.
Right. You fight so hard for your life. You pay in taxes your whole life.
Yep.
And then you end up with.
Spent it all to die.
Yeah. Man.
At 61 years old.
Man. That's just.
A lot of these Vietnam veterans are walking around. They've been dead for 40 years. And they're just waiting.
Yeah. Yeah. We gotta, there's just. We're failing them, but we're failing our children. We're failing, we've got a long way to go, and we've got, I guess if we look at all the problems, it is like Goliath and it's impossible. But I like to remember, there never was a chance for America. In 1776, we were 13 colonies up against the most powerful nation in the world.
Yeah.
Powerful empire in the world. And we basically just said, hey, listen, we've been trying to work with you. We're this is the Declaration of Independence. We've been trying to work with you. You not only will not help us, but you're proactively harming us. So we're done. We're doing this. We declare independence. We're going to be bound together by this idea that we're all under God, the Creator, who endowed us with these unalienable rights. God put in place an institution to secure those rights. It's called the government. You're derelict in that. And it would be, if you were only derelict in it, maybe we could have carried on. But because they were proactively destructive towards those ends, we said it is not only the right of the people, but the duty of the people to change that form of government. And we said, okay. Yeah. And that Goliath was slain, but it was by the grace of God and by David, right? So you can enter the legislature, yes, with a plan, yes, to pass laws, yes, to do all that, but also as an act of faith, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you hit on we created this country largely for religious rights, but also property rights.
Yep.
Property rights is one of the fundamental things we created a new country for.
It's actually one of the biggest deals when the settlers were coming over from Europe, was that you could be, you're a landlord.
Yeah. And a landowner.
Yes, but a landlord meant something in Europe. It meant you had the divine right to own that land.
Yes.
Americans' land law, at least at the beginning, was that a person owned that land and nobody could take it away.
That's right. And how did we find ourselves where we are today with the abuse of eminent domain?
Yeah, how did we? Please.
I can't even begin to understand how this is even a conversation. Now, I know that eminent domain is a thing that, let me try again. Eminent domain is sometimes used or should be used as a last resort, for a new interchange because your town has grown and you need safer access into town.
A new water treatment plant, maybe.
Or a new water treatment plant.
Yep.
It is not designed for private enterprise to put something on my property. Now, I have talked to farmers that would be willing to negotiate with this company if they were to get some sort of royalty that goes through that pipeline. Now,
it's my land. Hey, you want to use my land? All right, I'm willing. Some people are going to be willing to make deals. Okay, no problem.
Cell towers do it.
Yep.
Solar farms do it.
Yep.
Oil lines do it.
Yep.
People that own that land, get a royalty on that pipeline, and that is not being brought to the table. I actually, a couple of weeks ago, I went to Brett's one and only public forum that he had in a different town because he can't do anything in Nevada. And
Does his name a curse word in Nevada?
it's close. I actually had a guy sit next to me at a table, or he asked if he could sit next to me at a table. And I said, by all means, have a seat. And he asked if I was from State Center, and I said, no, I'm from Nevada. And he said, well, if you're from Nevada, you must know Brett really well. And I said, I do know him. I said, I know him so well that I'm running against him. I pulled out my card and I set my card on the table next to him.
Brilliant.
And he hollered at his wife, and his wife came over, and they had come down from the other end of the district to try to talk to Brett about the eminent domain issue, and he wouldn't talk to them. And so I talked to the husband and wife for a moment. She asked if I had any yard signs, and then she gave me a donation. So
awesome.
I took a donation and stood right outside the door of Brett's event, handing out a yard sign to a lady who told me she was going back to her community to lobby for me.
Love it.
So, and I have reached out to Brett several times, and he won't even acknowledge a response. And I don't know how you expect to run a campaign and win and be respected by people if you're not willing to even talk to them.
That's one of the frustrating things that I see. I hear this over and over again. Like Jim Carlin talks about this with Ashley Hinson. You know, it's like these people who represent us don't even like us.
No,
it's like like, could you at least just come and talk to us? Yeah. Like one of the stories for me was like when I was in prison for January 6th. We had been, me and, different people who had, followed my story and prayed for me and things like that had reached out to Ashley. She's our representative, right? U.S. House representative up in Northeast Iowa. And, she never responded. And like, these are people who have gotten her elected, and worked her campaign and knocked doors for her.
Right.
And then finally, my brother ran into her on a plane. Me and my family runs an internet company, and we go out to Washington D.C. every year for a conference. So he happened to be sharing a plane with Ashley Hinson, and telling her like, well, hey, listen, this is happening to my brother, and like the Constitution's being trampled on. Like, I mean, she swears an oath, right? Mm-hmm. I will defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Like, those judges in Washington are just as corrupt as the ones you're describing, or worse, maybe. And she's, like a politician would, says, "Oh yes, I will. We will look into this. Yes, reach out to my office. Yeah. We will certainly do this." I mean, she just doesn't respond.
No, they aren't.
Right? Yeah, and it's like, hey, listen, like I follow Jesus, and I do good to those who persecute me. I don't hold grudges. I practice forgiveness. I take up my cross and follow him, and all of that. But I also believe that as an American, the government's my servant to do me good, but I also am the government if I'm a voter. And so I need to act with wisdom here and take an assessment about what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, I just like the thing that's so frustrating is like these are people who represent us oftentimes don't even like us.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, and it's not like you were just a common thief. I mean, this is something extraordinary.
Extraordinary. And very public in the news.
Yes. Yeah. So it's probably not Ashley Hinson's job to save the person who stole a pack of smokes from Come and Go.
Right. But it is her job to defend him if his constitutional rights are being violated.
Yes, that completely different.
Yeah.
So.
And it's just, I mean, that's just kind of where we're at. It's,
But again, as of right now, he's still my representative. Yeah. I have had his cell phone number since he moved to Nevada. We were one of the first people that he met because he bought a house from us when he moved to town.
Because you're a home builder.
Because I'm a home builder.
Oh, wow.
So
this is a guy that knows you like any normal person. Like if you from a town the size of Nevada, you buy the house from the local home builder. If that person calls me, I'm probably picking up just, okay, hey, we're in the same community. I'm going to talk to you. But Brett is your representative.
Yes.
He has a responsibility to respond to you.
Yeah.
And actually, by law has to. Like, this is the concept of redress. You know, the Constitution guarantees that people have the right to get redress from the government, which is actually what the root of what was going on January 6th is. Like, we were demanding an answer for the fraudulent election. And to this day, they still have not officially responded to us demanding redress. Yeah. Well, same deal with the rep. We ask something of our government. This is what our forefathers bled and died for. One of many things is that the government needs to at least respond.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exhausting. And there was probably a time where I would say that Brett probably did try to do things for the community. Mm-hmm. My mother was on the city council at the same time that he was there, and she told me that she kind of watched him transform into a politician. And I will tell you, where he lost me was a handful of years ago. He walked into, at the time we owned a restaurant and we were eating lunch, and he walked in with someone else. And I said, "Hey, let me ask you something." And Nevada had just passed new burning ordinance, you know, leaves and sticks.
Yeah,
and stuff.
right. Whatever. Yep.
Whatever.
Yep.
But what they should have done is passed a ban on burning, but they didn't. What they did is they wrote the ordinance with so many words and so many regulations that they effectively banned burning in town without having.
But they just didn't have the courage to just say we're banning
it. And I questioned him on it. He said, "We absolutely knew what we were doing, but we did not want the community upset with us, so we did it this way." So he knew exactly what he did. And that was probably his first step into, one of his first steps into being a politician.
This was when he was the mayor.
When he may have been on council at the time.
Okay,
council or mayor, whatever. Either way.
Yeah. But then just the attitude of like, yes, we intentionally obfuscated, and he didn't even have the sense to lie to you. He should have. I mean, if he was going to do that, you might as well just lie about it and be like, "Oh no, there's, you just don't understand the legal ramifications. Right. We had to write it that way because the lawyers, like, that's usually what the sophisticated ones do, is they just blow smoke up our rear ends."
Yeah. So what they did was effectively ban burning in all but about 3 or 4 properties in town.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So they banned it.
Yeah.
But the selective enforcement has been another issue.
Of course. Yeah.
But then where he lost my wife, because my wife was still supporting him.
Yep.
And where he lost my wife a couple of years ago, Nevada decided, and this goes back to the administrator stuff, they just are padding resumes till they can get out of here. And our administrator wanted a rental code.
Okay.
Which, fine. I'm not opposed to a rental code. I'd like to...
rental code being like for
apartments.
The apartment, somebody like a code for
yes,
governing the relationship between renter and landlord.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I don't have a problem with that.
Sure. Could be a good thing, right?
It just makes things easier that both sides know what they have to do.
Yep.
And what all of us landlords had come together and said, we're not opposed to this, but what we would like to see is maybe we kind of ease into this a little bit. Like, let's start with some safety standards, making sure our smoke detectors work, make sure there's handrails on stairs, and
things that respectable landlords are already doing.
Correct.
But let's get it in the law and then see how.
Furnaces that work, bare wires not hanging out of the wall.
Absolutely.
Stuff like
Makes
that.
sense. Yep.
And they weren't willing to negotiate on that at all. They were going to drop. I think that what they had done was copy and pasted Ankeny's rental code and tried to drop it on Nevada. Which
Ankeny had probably had it in place for years and years.
Pages and pages and pages. Yeah. And so during a work session, we all landlords and the city sat and kind of worked through it and tried to negotiate back and forth on it. And we kept saying, look, there's got to be some black and white to this, because there was so much ambiguity in all of the wording, and we kept asking them to make stuff more black and white.
Yeah.
And after the meeting was over, Brett came up to my wife and I and said, "Hey, the reason that we have this ambiguous wording is because we want to be able to use this however we want to."
Yeah.
And right then is when he lost my wife, because
I at least got to give him credit for being honest about this stuff. Off the record honest, but
I suppose.
Okay, you just want to be a tyrannical government. Okay, fine.
So where we are today is now because I'm running against him, he can use the code to come after my apartments. It's now a weapon.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying he's doing that. It's not.
Sure. Yeah.
Because part of the issue was we don't have the staffing or the manpower or the funds to actually enforce this rental code that we did, in fact, pass against everyone's wishes.
Yeah. And
we got it parsed down a fair amount, but it's still very ambiguous. But again, there's no possible way to actually enforce this rental code in our town.
Yep. That's just like the same exact philosophy is what I have run into with the IRS and my family's internet company. We've worked with several different CPAs over the years and pulled this. We're about a 10-year-old company now. We came from nothing, like just me, my brothers, and my dad. They actually started it maybe a year before I got there. And we're a 30 will be $35-36 million in revenue this year, doing business all over the United States, Canada, different things like that. And one of the things I thought I would eventually find is a tax advisor that could tell me, like, listen, I want to pay my taxes. I want to do it legally. I want it to be understood. I want, like, I just want to make sure I do it right. And I figured if you find the right tax advisor who understands your business and understands the IRS, you can do that. But what I've come to understand is that there's always ambiguity.
Yeah.
And basically what you try to do, I think this is what our tax advisors try to do, is basically file your tax return to the best of their ability about as far as they know how the IRS is going to treat it. And do it in a way where they can at least defend their positions if the IRS decides to come after you. But there is no black and white where it's like, yes, you certainly filed your taxes correctly. Mm-hmm. What they say is, well, yeah, we did as good as we could, but like, if the government comes after you, like, we're just going to have to like fight them on it.
Yeah.
Well, that's just not serving the people.
No.
You're not like promoting liberty when you just have this quagmire of just a mess.
Yeah.
It happens in Washington, D.C., and it happens in Nevada.
And I don't know that I can affect anything in Washington, D.C., but I can sure try back home.
Well, yeah.
And that's where I feel like I can do something.
Well, and just like and there are people who fight in Iowa, and I would in Des Moines. Like, we have some really good legislators. Like, I mean, and I've had some of them on this podcast. Like, but Kevin Alonz and Lynn Evans and Doug Campbell and these types of guys in the Senate, and Mark Cisneros and Helena Hayes, Sam Fett, and all the other people. Like, there's a lot of people in the House side too. But it is like, it's hard, it's tough. And like we who are faithful and who want to do things right, well, we don't always get it right either.
Yeah.
And we also have to work with a broader party that, like, your opponent's a part of the Republican Party. And like, well, it doesn't automatically mean that we get along about everything, but we can, I would argue, in the last maybe 10 years or so in Iowa, we've trended towards improvement. I mean, do you think that's true?
I think so. I would like, and this probably takes me outside of the Republican Party a little bit, but I'd like to see. That's all right.
Hey, well, we're willing to like talk. Republican politics is I think it's the route we've been given to make change, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everything that we've ever the Republicans have ever done is right, and we don't need to rethink some things.
I'd like to see the government doing the least amount as that they can. To almost, somebody said the other day, like, where's my government? That's kind of where I'd like to see stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them set up guardrails and make sure the playing field is even, and then kind of get out of the way.
Yeah,
that's where I'd like to be, which apparently makes me a libertarian, I guess.
Well, whatever. I don't care what that label. Yeah. You can be whoever. Yeah. Anybody watching this can label him however they want.
I don't really fit into any group because, I'll be honest. I have quite a few Democrats that are supporting me.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
That little letter next to my name, it does not define me.
That's what's cool about Iowa politics at the local level too, is as we get closer and closer to our communities, it more and more is just like, oh, you're my neighbor, and like I got it's harder to mistreat somebody who you actually like.
Yeah.
And are
no,
connected to.
I've had those conversations with people. I have, you've seen it too. You see people that you maybe know saying inflammatory things on the internet.
Yep.
And they wouldn't say that to your face.
Yeah.
And you get that anonymity, and then it makes things so hard to make better, because you dehumanize people. You get into this kind of war of ideas, but you don't really have anything to back it up. You just have a talking point. And I, like I said, I've had good conversations with both sides of the aisle, and I feel like a lot of people, I know that the hardcore right and the hardcore left is party line all day long, but there's a lot of people in the middle that just really want to be left alone, that want to be able to go to their kid's soccer game or baseball game, and they don't want, this, like this government oppression of telling them what to do at every step of their life. I mean, some people want to be told what to do, but I'm just not one of those people.
Yeah, well, most people, don't. I think you're right. But the issue is, and I think why we have government overreach is we have this philosophy that I think a lot of the people in the center, I think you're right. A lot of people I can get along with, both Republican and Democrat, whatever, like go to a baseball game with, like run into at a restaurant, no problem. But the reason, one of the major contributing reasons that we are in a crisis as a nation, I think, is the withdrawal of those people from participation and they like, if you are one of these people who just wants to be left alone, well, you better make sure that you're participating in the process to elect the people who are going to leave you alone, because if you don't, you might end up with a county prosecutor that doesn't deal with crime in your community.
Right.
And then your dad's house gets broken into, and his property's stolen, and you end up with the chaos, and you're not being left alone now for the wrong reasons.
Right.
So we have to, the banner under which we can unify as Americans is that covenant that started the country, which is the Declaration of Independence, which means the government's purpose is to secure the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but it is defined by those rights coming from the Creator, and the government operates as his agent to do that. If the government tries to do those things without God, we end up with sort of some weird perverse form of, like, I don't know, neo-Bolshevism or communism or something like that,
which always works out so well.
We'll
do it better this time.
Yeah, we promise. Cross our heart and hope to die that, like, we'll have we won't have like 100 million people dead in this country because, the reign of terror or whatever. Actually, some of the things you've talked about, like where Brett, your opponent, he probably didn't set out to end up the way that he is, right? Like he
I would
got
hope
it.
not.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I would hope not.
But like, how does that happen in your opinion? Like, somebody who probably at least has ideas of making positive change in government gets swept into the system and becomes part of the system. Like, well, how does that happen? How do you avoid it? Like,
I think that having my wife as an equal to me would help me, stay out of that kind of a problem. I haven't been there, so I don't know. I mean, I have had.
You really respect your wife.
I do. I do. And same with our kids. I couldn't do something that I think would hurt them. We've been tested over the years, and we've all, no life is ever perfect.
Yeah.
And my wife and I have been tested over the years, with different things.
And what are some of the tests?
Just having, I guess maybe having to stand your ground when you think you're right and having to convince the other one that you're right. Or, there are people that try to come into your lives that don't have good intentions for you.
Yeah.
And being strong enough to get through stuff like that is, I don't know. I couldn't do any of this without her.
Yeah. That's great.
As much as sometimes I need a minute alone.
All good.
I couldn't do it without her.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think having, as much respect for her and as much love for her as I do, I don't think she would allow me. If I came home and said something, she'd be like, no.
How did you guys meet?
Well, when I met her, she was a teller at the bank that my mom worked at. While
His wife is here laughing in the background, by the way.
And so she had met me through the teller window, maybe once. Cool. I don't recall exactly.
Probably couldn't get you out of her mind after that, I would assume.
No, she didn't. She says that she could see my feet through the door of my truck.
Okay.
And she didn't think much of me.
Yeah.
And actually, my wife.
Is it Nevada or somewhere else?
In Nevada.
Okay, yeah. So you guys got long time roots in Nevada.
Yes. So she ended up. Well, the initial contact was probably because my mom worked at that bank, and we had met that way.
Sure.
But my wife had ended up being a regional or territory manager.
Okay.
And actually used her encounter with me as a teaching device for other tellers, because I think the first time that we formally met, I was in there looking for money and a mortgage.
Looking for a mortgage.
Looking to redo my mortgage.
Probably investing in some entrepreneurial scheme. Yeah.
And based on how I looked, she was not terribly interested in talking to me. Because I worked for a living and I was dirty.
Yep.
And I drove a truck where you could see my feet through the door.
Yeah, it was probably paid off though, I bet.
Oh, it was a long time paid off.
Yeah, see, bankers got to know how to identify this stuff. Yeah.
So, but legally, she has to go through the motions. Otherwise, she could be in trouble. And so she started checking me out, and she started checking boxes, and it was, and I'm not what she thought I was.
Yeah.
And I guess long story short, she used that as a teaching device. Not that you're going to get loans, but you might actually find a husband if you're not.
Yeah. So all the tellers at this bank from that point forward were husband hunting.
Yes. So, and to be fair, I was a lot better looking when I was younger.
Yeah. That's cool. That's a good story.
But, so when my dad got sick, and you asked about doing the right things, when my dad got sick, we were in charge of taking care of my dad. I had to go sit in front of a judge and be grilled by a judge to be put on as his.
Oh, did he?
It was beyond power of attorney. It was conservator.
Okay. Is it like
guardian.
The kind of sickness where he just wasn't there? And...
Yeah, his brain quit on him.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it was over the course. He went from sitting right here talking this way with you and I to being not much more than a toddler in about a year and a half.
And he wasn't that old.
No, he was only 59.
Man.
And frontotemporal dementia. It's pretty uncommon.
It's pretty.
And if you talk to anybody outside of the government, Agent Orange did it. But if you talk to the government, they glaze over and they recite you the story they've been told to tell.
Quote a legal line.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So a lot of people from Vietnam have experienced this.
Yes.
Okay.
So when we were taking care of my dad, and again, this goes back to your, trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
My wife and I talked a lot of things about, how we should handle certain things, because we were at the point where we couldn't even ask my dad.
Yeah.
And I would ask my aunt, who not on my dad's side,
Yeah.
And I give her a lot of respect too, because she's been like a second mother to me.
Oh,
wow. We've always been close, and we think a lot alike. And I was able to ask her stuff, not exactly legal stuff, but moral stuff.
Yeah, just That's what a family should do,
right.
is help each other make decisions.
Right.
And like,
And
I mean, this is tough stuff.
Right. And I asked her, I remember there was one time I'd asked her about something we were doing with Dad. And I said, this is what we're going to do. And she kind of went, no, you need to do something. And it wasn't intentional. It was just, we needed that other set of eyes.
Yeah.
You know, and then we would ask my dad's
So
sister.
valuable. Yeah.
You know, we did the same thing with my dad's sister. And you know, what would Dad want?
Yeah.
And we really used what he did for his own parents as a guide on what we did for my dad.
Sure.
So between her and I and, you know, 2 aunts, I felt like we did as good as we could with the circumstances we were given.
Yeah.
You know, you can always look back and wish you'd have done something better or something more.
Yeah.
But we were young family, you know, busy. And I say this, and it's always hard to wrap my head around, but we were running 2 businesses plus apartments and becoming a brand new farmer because my dad was a farmer as well.
Oh, so you're taking the farm over.
Yeah. And my wife had to go through a stack of paper like this to retire my dad from the post office because he couldn't do it.
Oh, man.
And the local postmaster was less than helpful after my dad had worked there for 35 years. And it took a couple of phone calls up the ladder, and he was incredibly helpful after that.
Well,
but it would have been nice to
glad
just
he
have
came
that.
around,
It would have been nice to have that right from the get-go for somebody that spent 35 years.
You guys have had a few run-ins with just, you know, the not only the government establishment but the medical establishment, just kind of issues with, you know, having to, you know, deal with Dad, or your opponent has, like, he works for Big Pharma, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, and then with all, I mean, we all lived through COVID and that stuff. Like, what, how do you think about the medical, the state of things in the, you know, healthcare, medical freedom, that?
I don't have a lot of, I really struggle with the medical. You know, it used to be if your doctor told you something, it was the truth, or at least the truth as best as he knew. And I feel like politics has even in you know, gotten into medical.
Why?
I know during COVID, we had asked our doctor about the COVID shots, and our daughter is a type 1 diabetic and healthy. Our son is healthy. We're both healthy. And our doctor at the time told us, you guys don't need this. And I was shocked by that.
That was the exception to the rule.
He was the exception to the rule. I don't know what his opinion is today. But at that time, he said,
let's just say that man, you know, he that's money out of his pocket. Like, there's a lot of momentum just pushing those people to, they had a profit motive to recommend these shots. And to this day, many, many other shots.
There was no way I was getting the shot. I didn't, you know, we've had all these diseases for 20, 30, 50 years that we don't have no medication for. And you're going to tell me that something that came out a couple months ago, now we just randomly have a shot that's going to cure you for it. I didn't believe it. It just my own thought didn't believe it.
Do you think most people who got the shot did it because they believed it was effective, or was it at least in part because
I think a lot of people were pressured. I have a friend that was pressured. I have
threatened to lose their job,
lose their jobs,
lose their freedom.
Yeah, that my one friend got it because they had a school trip coming up and they were not allowed to go on the trip without it, and he did it, and you know, they've been okay. We have another friend whose daughter had a lot of sickness after the fact. I have a very close friend from home whose wife died shortly after having the shot.
She's healthy other than that.
And she was healthy other than that. And it was undefined. As near as I know, whatever killed her was undefined. But it started within hours or days of getting her shot.
Wow.
I would like to see some trust back. I'd really like to be able to see trust. And
we need healthcare professionals, a healthcare industry that we can trust.
And I think that's been a hard thing for a long time. I think the money motivator has made it very difficult. I mean, you've seen the opioid stories and what's happened with that. And that was purely profit driven.
Yeah.
There's, insulin. My daughter needs insulin to survive.
Yep.
And yet it's a cost. Every month it's a cost. But yet if my daughter was a heroin addict, she can get Narcan for free, which is frustrating.
What's Narcan?
Narcan is what they use to pull back a heroin overdose.
Oh, okay.
It'll stop that heroin overdose in its tracks. And now they give it out at the libraries. The police carry it. The EMTs all carry it.
Okay.
But you can get it for free. My wife or my daughter didn't choose to be diabetic.
Yep.
I know there's discussion on whether people choose to be opium or heroin addicts.
Sure. Yeah.
But
right. Yeah.
That's a whole discussion.
But like the issue is one of, for one thing, liberty, right? The government needs to secure our right to liberty. And also like the government, like there's a lot of latitude for debate on how to handle these things, the opioid crisis, the medical freedom, all that stuff. But like what we need is people who act in good faith, who we, the public, can rely upon to say, all right, we understand government's complicated. It's hard. Like when you get down to the nitty gritty of making and enforcing laws, it's tough, right?
Sure.
What we need is somebody that, like what I want is somebody who I'm confident has at least just likes me. That's rooted in a community, that cares about the community, that hopefully has a family that he or she is connected to, that like is actually like a contributor and a servant of his or her community.
Yeah. Well, and this isn't a stepping stone for me. I don't have any desire to be a U.S. senator or a governor. Or
not trying to get to Washington D.C.
I'm not. I'm as much fun as it was to sit back and complain on Facebook with everyone else.
Yeah,
my line in the sand was crossed, and now here I am.
Yeah,
and I met with some people early on, and they asked me, why do you want to do this? And I said, I don't want to do this. I said, but you guys haven't done a good job.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in a term or maybe two, I'm going home and somebody else can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if nothing else, it provides a reset to our district.
Yeah.
To where we have a chance of getting some common sense and some actual community service back involved with it, instead of, look at the financial disclosures. Look at where all the money comes from.
Well, where does it come from?
Well, my money has come from individual people and farmers from around
your county
district.
Yeah, your district. Yeah.
To my knowledge, I haven't seen any PAC money come in. I haven't seen, large chunks of money from big pharma come in, or Summit Pipeline hasn't given me any money. I'm guessing
is that different for your opponent?
Yeah, it is quite a bit different. That's quite a bit different. Look at the financial disclosures. Look where the money comes from.
Well, most people on this podcast aren't going to go do that. Why don't you just share a little bit of some of that information?
Well,
or tell us, how about this? Where can people look at the financial disclosures?
Iowa Ethics Board.
Okay.
Will show you where the money came from. It'll show you my financial disclosures.
So you have to file this stuff for your campaign, so we can look up your opponent or anybody in Iowa. You can go to Iowa Ethics Board, Google that, and start.
You're going to find my $25 donations, my $100 donations. I've got a couple $1,000 donations from people. No PAC money.
Wow.
No out-of-state money. At least not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, you probably know everybody that's giving you money.
Or I have met or stood on their doorstep or shook their hand. Yes, that's where my money has come from. And it allows me to be beholden to the community, not to somebody who put a big chunk of money in my campaign.
You just got to think logically about Jesus says where your money is, where your treasure is, there your heart is also. So. Yeah. These politicians that get money from especially PACs or big businesses and things like that, be responsible. Check out where they like. I mean, is Summit funding your?
No.
Okay.
No. Summit Pipeline is not going to give me anything.
But what about your opponent?
Yes.
So Summit. So okay, let's take that example. Think logically. If Summit Pipeline is funding someone, it's a business, a for-profit business. They have to answer to their shareholders. They have to like. Why would they be doing that?
They expect a return on their investment.
They expect a return on their investment. This is the same deal that we get with like Heintz at the level. Most of her money comes from out of state. Like, I mean, it's just like, it is what it is. Like, right, there's a time and a place where we don't get to have everything we want from all of our politicians and stuff. But like, hey, we're in primary season, right?
Yep.
Let's do our due diligence as voters. Let's dive into the issues, look at the finances, look at the motives, look at the connections to the community, look at the issues of integrity, of faithfulness, all of that kind of thing, and make a wise choice. And like, if you want to make a wise choice, you're like, deal with the one who is the source of wisdom. Like, do it in prayer, do it in a community of people who are who you know to be wise. Like, right? Like, I mean, isn't that how people should be deciding who to vote for?
I would hope.
We don't though, right? I mean,
No.
often like,
No, you watch the TV commercials and you vote for the most TV commercials.
yeah, that's just,
And
then you get on Facebook and complain about draining the swamp or whatever.
yes. And then you vote for another swamp creature.
Right. So we gotta turn this thing around.
Some of it's our own fault.
Yeah.
Some of it is absolutely our own fault.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I have reached quite a few people who otherwise wouldn't be involved right now.
Yeah.
That is, I have talked to a lot of people, either door knocking or, at the grocery store or whatever. And I'm hoping that I have gotten a few people off the benches.
Yeah, I bet you have.
And, like other people in the field have told me, just be yourself.
Yeah.
I don't have, I don't have an entourage. I don't have a camera crew following me around.
Yeah.
People are surprised when I show up and it's just me and my old beat up truck.
Yeah.
It's just me. I'm too simple sometimes. My wife likes to tell me.
Yeah.
And she said that sometimes that comes across, she doesn't like the way it comes across sometimes because where 3 words will do the job, I don't see the need to spend 20 words on something.
Yeah.
And she thinks that sometimes that comes across as
yeah,
too forward.
Right. Yeah. And there's a time and a place for this straightforwardness, but like there is a sense of like when you are putting yourself forward to represent a community, to do it with dress in a way that's you're representing your people, and speak in a way that you represent your people, and all of those things. Like we don't think about these things often, but like I think we as voters and members of a community, we do appreciate it when our elected officials show respect by, in every way, how they act. And of course, yes, obviously that needs to start from the heart with integrity and honesty and faithfulness and love and all of these things. But also, like, that's probably what your wife's talking about is like, you're carrying the honor of your district in a way, like, so speak well, dress well, all that stuff. Like, I mean, that's I get on board with that for sure.
The dress well is going to be probably my biggest struggle.
Well, this is Iowa. We can still.
When I met with one group of older Republicans, we had that conversation about dressing, and I said there's probably a pretty good chance if I get down to the state of Iowa, I'll be shopping out of the Fetterman collection.
Yeah, your car. You got the Carhartt today.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, sorry, I got dirt under my fingernails today again.
I do.
Yeah, whatever.
I sure do.
Yeah, no, that's all good. That's all good. So some of the other things that I think we ought to just address that's specific to your campaign right now in the race that you're in with your opponent is like, what is the deal with this? There is a lawsuit between the state and this company that he works for. Is that true?
Yeah.
And can you it's a pharmaceutical company?
So the Cliff's notes of it, as I understand them, are the state has a program to provide medication for Iowans. And since the state is not a pharmacy, they cannot purchase the medication.
Okay.
They needed an intermediary.
Sure.
So there has been a contract with New Cara Pharmacy for at least a decade.
And your opponent works for them?
My opponent is, near as I can tell, second in charge of that company, which I think is no longer a company. It looks like they've been bought by Medicap now.
Okay. All right.
I'm not really certain. It's details are a little foggy.
Well, whatever. Of course, the state needs some pharmacy drugs. Of course, they're going to go to a pharmacy to get that. All right. Yep.
So there had been an agreement that the state, and again, I'm gonna oversimplify this for my small brain, but it's my understanding that this medication retailed for $10.
Okay.
New Cara was able to buy this medication for $5.
Okay.
The state said, we'll give you $1 to facilitate the purchase and the distribution.
Yeah, you're a business. You got to make money. Here's
the state of Iowa gets the remaining $4.
Okay.
Which they had been doing for what I can tell nearly a decade.
Okay.
Sometime last year, they just stopped doing that.
What? They stopped paying
they stopped remitting the $4 to the state of Iowa.
Oh, okay.
Which over the course of 8 months, I believe, if you look into the lawsuit, I believe it's 8 months, that added up to $22 million.
Oh, wow. Have they said any explanation of why? Or
that's the thing, is there's no answer. I mean, $22 million didn't disappear because Stephanie at the cash register stole it. That money was, someone ordered those payments to stop being made to the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
Now, in that course of time, there had to have been at least one quarterly meeting at New Cara that Brett would have been a part of, minimum of one. There would have been...
Well, and just as an elected official, it's a big scandal, right? You have you work for them, give us an explanation or something. So, come on.
So in that 8 months, the 22 millions accrued, and
have they started remitting it again?
No, I don't believe so. So
okay,
you can't. I don't believe for a second that the state didn't just wait 8 months and then file a lawsuit. They would have been sending letters, of course, if not monthly. Every after a couple months they got behind them, they would send a letter.
Hey, where's our you don't miss $22 million,
right?
Yeah,
and at some point they would have become registered mail because then it was serious,
certified. Sure,
and at some point from there, with no response, presumably no response from New Cara, the state of Iowa would be left no choice but to file a lawsuit. Now, to be number two in the business and claim to have no knowledge of this whatsoever is really, really tough for me to believe.
Right.
And if you add on to the fact of that he sits on...
Well, or even let's just let it be true for just 30 seconds here. Okay, fine, you know nothing about it. Well, guess what? You might be in the wrong line of work. It's your job to know that.
Well, I would certainly think that one of two things are true. Either one, you're not very good at your job to not know this and not catch this and not fix it.
Yeah. If we allow that statement to be true. Yeah.
So either one, you're not good at your job, or two, you're lying. I mean, there's really the only two options there are.
Right. That's the trouble.
I cannot find any place that allows me to believe that you don't know anything about this.
Or here's the deal. If there is another explanation, how about this? Give us that explanation. Yeah. You're an elected official. You're representing your people. You're serving the people of Iowa, I hope. Just what's the explanation?
Yeah.
You can share, please.
Or I didn't know. I will dig into this and I will get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. And then actually do that.
Right. But near as I can tell from reading through the court documents, the money is gone. It's not on the ledger somewhere. It's not in a savings account. It's just gone.
Oh.
So it's worse than just not sending it.
It's not like they just put it into it didn't show up in their profit and loss statement.
Right. So they can't just send it to the state and make everything good. It's gone. So it looks like it was maybe spent on other debts. If you're $22 million in debt, then you need to borrow that money, so to speak. It really leads me to believe you struggle with running your business properly.
Sure. Yeah.
And even at a more micro level, so they had a small pharmacy in Zearing, Iowa. And a couple of years ago, so the city of Zearing they had been buying up their Main Street businesses, fixing them and renting them for the city.
Okay.
And New Cara was renting from the city of Zearing.
Okay.
New Cara came to Zearing and said, we cannot afford to pay you rent anymore in this small town. And so Zearing decided, in the council, they decided, okay, if you just pay the taxes and insurance, we won't charge you any rent. So for 2 years, they paid $0 in rent up there and still closed it and still couldn't make it work.
Oh, wow.
And I found out that prior to them not paying any rent, they were only paying $300 a month in rent to run a pharmacy.
That's a sweetheart deal, yeah.
I really struggle to believe that a pharmacy in any town can't swing a $300 a month rent payment. Rent payment.
I wonder what the deal was, yeah.
So I think it points to other underlying issues.
Well, and just like, why can't we have the conversation, right? Yeah. You're an elected official. You work for this company. This is an issue. It's not a secret that the state of Iowa is having to sue your company. Like, provide an explanation. Come on. Like, or if you just don't want to, then get out of the way, because like we got to have transparency, accountability, integrity in our government. We just we're done with the old way.
It doesn't seem unreasonable to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you make a mistake, own it. I've made mistakes.
Yeah.
Most of us have made mistakes. No, none of us are infallible.
Yeah, exactly.
But owning it.
Yeah.
And moving on.
Yeah. Having the courage to face your mistakes and to like work through them together. Like, right? We're a representative form of government. Like, let's do that. But
people love a good redemption story.
People do. Yeah.
If you screw up and you admit it, you will get no end of latitude from people.
I would love to, like, for our politicians to, like, humble themselves, ask for forgiveness, truly from the heart, and we can start trying to, like, come up with some solutions for government.
And can we please stop paying to get them all out of trouble?
Yeah, please.
And that's something I'd like to add, if I can get in there, is if you do something...
What do you mean by that? Yeah,
well, if you do something to dirty up your seat, it's not my job to cover your legal expenses. If you run off with someone after a session and get yourself in trouble, or you get yourself an OWI, or any of these legal troubles, it's not my job to cover.
The rest of Americans have to figure that out for themselves.
That's right.
You got to figure it out for yourself.
That's right.
And no, you don't get to do it under seal. Right. Operating in darkness is not appropriate.
No. Yeah. And again, they're human.
I got no WI.
I've got a relatively one of Brett's group decided to post my Iowa courts online record.
Oh no!
after 32 years of being an adult, I have amassed a couple of speeding tickets, and I had a dog that wouldn't stay in the yard.
Ooh, man!
And the court stuff with my dad.
Yep.
And then when I was 21 years old, me and my 21-year-old girlfriend had a bad breakup.
Yep.
Nothing ever came of it. We're actually friends to this day.
Sure, yeah.
And I actually, before I announced that I wanted to do this, I talked to her.
Good for you.
Just because I said, you know what, somebody's going to probably dig up and they're going to try to find this and they're going to try to make hay out of it. And she said, if they want to talk to me, they are more than welcome to talk to me.
Yeah, right.
So we were dumb kids.
I mean, what, that 30 years gone or something?
Right.
Like, I mean,
yeah. 30 years ago is not really a lifestyle choice, or it's not a career choice.
Yeah. That's just.
But she actually worked for us for a couple of years, which I didn't know. One of our employees actually hired her.
Oh wow!
And she worked for us for a couple of years, and we had that talk we should have had when we were 20.
Yeah, right. If we only would have been mature. And
Right. If we had only not been 20 years old when we were 20, things would have been so much better.
The problem with being 20 is you've never been 20 before and you don't know what to do.
Yeah. So, but they tried to make hay out of that, and
yeah, I mean,
it's just a lot of, talking down to people,
yeah.
And I've been asked to, when am I going to go do, where I stand on the stage and talk to 50 or 100 people or whatever. And I suppose at some point I'll probably have to do something similar to that.
Yeah.
But I don't like to. I want to go talk to somebody at the coffee shop where I can stand on the same floor you're standing. I'm not above you.
Right.
And a microphone gives me some sort of voice over the top of yours, and I don't want that either. I am you.
Right.
And if you and I can talk at the coffee shop or the co-op or the grocery store, that's just as good as,
right.
In my opinion, it's better than going out and standing on a stage.
Yeah,
you don't get any feedback that way.
Isn't that what we've complained so much about? Is our politicians are talking over our heads. Yep. They're talking, they don't care. They're out of touch. They're just selfish. So many of them, and but the flip side of that coin is that we are all used to that, and it looks really weird when who ever heard of a politician that doesn't want to do that? Yeah. And then so it feels awkward to support somebody like that, or feels, it's just.
Well, when I went to talk to somebody last week, I walked in and where's the camera crew? Where's the entourage? I'm like, there isn't one. It's just me.
Yep.
So
just me.
And I used my dirty hand to shake the guy's dirty hand. And
good. Yeah.
We had a conversation, and then that's the other thing I've learned too is lots of issues are local, and they're extraordinarily local.
Yeah.
Whereas something that may bother Zering, Nevada has no idea about.
Yeah.
Or something that bothers Rhodes,
mm-hmm.
I don't know about in Nevada.
Right.
And so, one thing that my wife and I have talked about, if I do get through this and get down to the state, I would like to, once a month,
mm-hmm.
go out to a town in the district and
mm-hmm.
just let people come yell at me.
Yeah.
Because
town hall, get out and talk to people. Yep.
Right. I'm not going to get, I'm not going to be voted and go down there and then be, untouchable. That's not what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
If there's something, I only know what I know from talking to people today. If we get to January or February and all of a sudden there's a big issue in Melbourne, Iowa, I won't know that unless I go out and talk to these people again.
Yeah.
So that's, it's just the sense of entitlement that I see.
Yeah.
Not just from my opponent, but the rest of them. It's almost like I owe them something.
Yeah.
And I think they owe me. I don't think I owe them.
That's just kind of that's the theme over and over again. Yeah. And the thing is, we didn't get to this way without any responsibility on our part, the voters. We're not going to get out of it without us taking action, but we're also not going to get out of it without appealing to heaven, a prayer life of asking God to heal the land, redeem the government. We just it is that behemoth, that Goliath that it's too much on our own, but it's a very attainable goal. Yep. If we just walk in faithfulness, if we can look past the squeaky clean suits and the slick talking points and the people who are great in front of a crowd and get into, character, reliability, integrity. Does this person actually love the people that he's representing? Things like that. If we can learn to discern and vote in those ways, I think there's a lot of hope for Nevada and all over Iowa.
Right.
Yeah. What are your hopes for your community and stuff? You can take that a political way or just zoom out and say what should your district be like? If it's prosperous and you get the things operating the way they ought to be.
Well, one thing that I've noticed, and I suppose Nevada's a rural community, but it's not near as rural as, say, a Zering or a Bangor.
Mm-hmm. These other little towns in
other
your
little
district.
towns
Yep.
in the district. And I've gone, and I guess I'll say this, you walk past your own mess and you kind of get used to seeing it, and then you don't see it anymore.
Yeah.
But so now I've been out visiting these other communities and I start to see their mess.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really eye-opening to go into some of these towns and you see houses that are, they're only standing there out of habit. I mean, they're gonna stand there until they can no longer stand anymore.
The paint's peeling off and the porch is run down.
There may be people living in them. There may not be people living in them. And, the communities don't have the money to do anything with them. A lot of these communities are, a lot more poor than Nevada is. Mm-hmm. Again, we're a small rural community, but I feel like Nevada's got a lot of things, going for it. Mm-hmm. What I like about it is I can really kind of be alone, but if I need something that only a big city can provide, I'm not that far out.
Yep.
But you go
There's so many good towns like that in Iowa.
Yeah. But you go out to some of these other small little burgs that I always call them.
Yeah.
And they're an hour from anything or more.
Yeah.
And, I look at some of these communities and I see, houses falling to the ground or, an abandoned elevator or, a car that's been sitting there for decades.
Yeah.
And this gets me into a pinch because I don't want to tell anybody how to run their property.
Of course.
If you're happy with the grass in your yard or the stuff on your porch,
right,
it's not for me to tell you what to do with that.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is when I see communities that can't afford to do something with, an abandoned property or grandma has no family left and she just can't take care of it.
There's a portion of this, the mess or whatever you want to call it, that is the responsibility of a government that is sucking too much out of these communities. Yeah. Now there's a other side of that coin that is a property owner has the right to do what they want. And if they like it to be a mess, then it's just going to be a mess and it just is what it is.
Yes.
But, yeah.
I don't like the idea of going and telling somebody how to run their property like I'm some HOA.
Right. Yeah.
But there are those that cannot, and they can't afford it. They don't have the physical ability to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't think we need a program. I mean, I know.
We have like smart Iowans. That's the program. Our people.
So like our local Cub Scouts, Nevada used to have a cleanup day and they got rid of it years ago.
Oh, okay.
So we haven't had anything like that for, quite a while. Mm-hmm. And I know the local Cub Scouts, because they have certain things they have to do to get their patches and their community service stuff. Yeah. And one of the things that they've talked about doing is kind of doing a cleanup day, and not with trash, but, say grandma doesn't have any family left and there's nobody to mow her yard or pick up her sticks.
What a great thing for a community to do. You train the kids up, teach them the value of hard work, service, all this stuff. The community benefits from it.
And I am positive that there are people in Nevada or any other town that would like nothing more than to get their chainsaw or the weed eater out on a Saturday and go help clean up. And that's the thing. It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
It costs.
You'll feel better at the end of that day than you do out of 99% of the other days.
You get a dozen or so people and a handful of kids to go out and you get a good sweat on, you clean up and you have some pride.
Yeah.
Like I said, because grandma doesn't have anyone else left.
Right. Do you really need another day in front of the TV? No.
No. And I have offered to go out and help with that. And it was mentioned that I should have pictures taken to prove that I did it. And I said, I'm not interested in that at all. I don't need this as a campaign stop. I don't need to video document every single thing I do. I can do things that are good without having to show everybody how good I am.
Thank you for that.
Is not just that. It's, like my wife and her, a couple of apartments that we have that are, housed by people that otherwise wouldn't have places to live. Mm-hmm. I don't need to go out and brag about that. We just try to do things that we think that we should be doing to try to make our community better.
How do you like pick that out? Like, I mean, you've sounds like for many, many years run apartments, things like that. You've had a lot of bad experiences that you talked about earlier, but you're still helping people who probably most people wouldn't help.
Sometimes.
What makes you do that?
Maybe it's some of that turn the other cheek that my mom always pushed on me when I was a kid. My wife's family has been fortunate and very generous. I don't know. It's kind of how we were taught, I guess.
Yeah. Who are some of the people, like, I mean, they're people who have come out of either addiction or trouble with the law or these sorts of things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they have been. And it doesn't always work. Sometimes they end up right back where they started.
Yeah.
Again,
I think that's what's admirable is that you get punched in the face and like you invest in somebody. Like this is just the story of, we do this, we run into this at church. You invest in a life, and these are broken people and rebellious people, and so some of them
sometimes
don't respond,
and sometimes broken kids in the middle of it, and we. Sorry, I'm not going to share that one.
That's all right. But what's the mindset that there's something in you or in your family or whatever that you have a really bad experience. Most people have this moral indignation when they get mistreated like that. It's like, well, that's why I don't do that. Yeah. And then they never go back. Yeah.
Well, you slam your hand in the car door and it hurts, and you generally try not to do it again.
Right.
Us, on the other hand, continually slam our hands in the car door. But it's not always that way. And I do give my wife a hard time because sometimes I think she gives a little too much.
Thank God that God gives a little too much sometimes.
And I'll say I have probably become a little jaded over time. It happens. But I look at her and I try to do better. Mm-hmm. That's why I told somebody I'm always under construction.
Yeah.
I maybe didn't make the right decision today, but I'm going to sure try to make the right one tomorrow.
Yeah.
And this whole political journey, for anybody that hasn't done it before, it's really hard to explain. But it has been a huge inward mirror on myself as well.
Oh, I bet.
To see how people see me. Double checking or double guessing what I do, is this in fact the right decision? Is this the same decision I would have made yesterday when it wasn't political? Is this the right decision yet today?
Yeah.
When maybe it is political now. And I try very hard to be consistent. If I make a decision, I like to be able to stand on that decision. I don't want to change that decision based on who's involved with it. I try to be consistent. Mm-hmm. I know sometimes people grow, they change, and your decisions can change, but I try very hard to be consistent, at least as much as I can be, And I laugh because it goes back to, getting thrown out of school for wearing a T-shirt in high school. Meanwhile, the kid sitting next to me has the same shirt on and it was fine. So
what was the T-shirt?
I don't even remember. It was some silly T-shirts we used to wear in high school. Big Johnson T-shirts.
Big Johnson.
You remember those?
Yeah.
The innuendo of the shirts.
Yeah.
And I got thrown out of school.
So they weaponized that against you, but your friend didn't.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't even really a friend. He was just a kid sitting next to me.
Well, how did he get away with it?
Maybe he was quieter than I was.
Because he wasn't mouthy all the time, is what his wife just said.
But again, that's, even clear back to then, I just want to see consistency.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad saying, just because you didn't do it, if your friends did it, you did it too.
Yeah.
You know, and you gotta watch the friends you hang out with, because I had friends that didn't do very well in life, and I was on that path at one time. I shouldn't say I was on that path. I was standing at the fork in the road.
Yeah, where you
where I could have
look
gotten,
back and you see how easily it could have.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, thank God for the good shepherd that pulls us out of all of our life's messes.
Well, and as a Gen X kid, you know, your dad would just beat the stupid out of you. That was okay.
Spare the rod and spoil the child. Don't you know that?
Yeah. And that's still one we use with our kids. Our daughter is 12 going on 23.
Yeah.
And I think, what was the comment? Something about shut your mouth before I knock your face off your head.
Oh, wow.
Probably shouldn't use that in here, though.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's in jest.
Yeah. There's, I mean, I've been to prison, and I've seen people in rough shape, and a lot of them, if parents would have been there for them, for one thing, but also disciplined them physically in a lot of cases,
sometimes
at 5 or at 10 or at 15, that might have changed their life to where they wouldn't have had a 20-year prison sentence at 30 or at 25, And so this whole idea of just being nice and like just helping people to process and think through, like, well, there is a time and a place to act with, decisive force to correct bad behavior. Yeah. And so the Gen X parents, they didn't have it all wrong, but
no. But you watch the videos, you see how us Gen X kids were raised and how we got along.
Oh, is that what happened to you?
Yeah. I led a pretty G-rated childhood. I will say that.
Yeah.
I was raised in a relatively Beaver Cleaver-ish way.
Sure. Yeah.
So I was, but I did have friends that weren't raised that way, and some of them made it, some of them didn't.
Yeah, but you were set up for, I bet, a greater probability of success than the ones that just didn't have discipline. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, my grandparents on both sides, they were both hard workers. They came out of the Depression.
Yep.
On my mom's side, Grandpa had started working when he was 10 or 12 years old because that's what he had to do.
Yeah.
He had a military stint, and then he was a business owner for years. And, then on my dad's side, Grandpa just, worked himself into the dirt for, for 40 years.
Yeah.
And never had a ton, but he had enough.
Yeah.
And so I have I had two roadmaps of kind of, grandparents that I had, with the one that, slaved himself his whole life, and my other grandfather who worked and built something for himself. And, but I wasn't given the luxury of being lazy either.
Yeah.
If you want something, you've got to go get it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's wisdom in that, and that's a gift that parents can give to their parents. Yeah. Is there, what else? Is there anything else that you want people to know about you, your campaign, the issues in your district, anything?
Well, I guess we kind of hit on the eminent domain already.
Yeah.
The kind of the second thing that I've really kind of taken a shine to is the school the ESAs, the school choice issue.
Sure.
Now, I know I got quoted correctly, but misunderstood, I guess.
Yeah, well, just tell us what you think about the school choice and ESAs, all that stuff.
I do believe that the parents have the right to put the kid where the best school is. But what I have seen is the way that the ESA program is set up, I think, is going to be really detrimental to the public schools over time.
Okay.
I think that there needs to be some serious review of how it's going. With the private schools not having to take any student as a public school has to. I've talked to our school board president, and he said if parents show up at the door with a kid, they have to take him. That's the law. Whereas private schools don't necessarily have to do that. If they're going to take the private money, if they're going to take the public money, there need to be some better guardrails, and they probably need to be run a little bit more like the public schools are. I know that they're always talking about money. Money in schools is a never-ending conversation.
Yep.
And again, when I was, a young Gen X kid growing up, an angry old woman with a ruler beat math and science into my head unwillingly.
Right.
With nothing but a chalkboard and determination. And we had the best schools in the nation back then.
Right. Yeah.
And every year since then, we have dumped more money on our schools, and we keep going down.
Yeah.
And I had somebody ask me about it. They said, well, what's the solution? I don't know what the solution is today.
Yeah.
But I believe that there are going to have to be some really serious, hard conversations to get our schools back on track. And it's not about money.
Yeah.
I talked to my old, I think he was my 7th grade science teacher. I ran into him at a track meet. And while on the other side of the aisle from me, we had a lot that we agreed on, a lot that we talked about. And he said, when you were a kid, I could grab you by your ear and take you down the principal's office, and then they would call your parents, and that's where the trouble started.
Yep.
But he said, now you can't even look at the kids cross-eyed. The parents will lie for the kids.
Yep. And
then they turn around and they blame everyone but themselves.
Yep. Yep.
So more money's not going to fix that.
Yeah.
We need to fix the family.
Yep.
And we need to fix how the schools are run.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, as a capitalist, if this school is terrible, then you should be able to go up the street to the good school.
Yeah.
Now that's not as much of an issue in Nevada because we don't have a private school in Nevada.
Yeah. But it could be. I mean, so I'm the founder of a school that we take advantage of the ESA, and we don't yet, but we're going to be accredited next year, and it's kind of like this one-room schoolhouse model. So we got the real small 5 students right now, and we hope to be 10 next year, and the options that are opened up by just being able to have access to some of that state money is really helpful. Like we're much more efficient with our use, our cost per student's lower than the state, and we're able to serve our families, right? Like I believe part of the unalienable right to liberty is like parents have the God-given responsibility and authority to raise their children, which means they have to have authority over that education. Well, we're able to serve that need.
Yeah.
And so that's good. And that's, I'm happy to be part of the solution in that way. But I would love, we're here, we need our school districts to have the power to govern themselves. Teachers need to be in charge of the classrooms. They need to be able to enforce discipline. They need to we're not here to destroy our public education system. We want, if we're going to have a public education system, we want it to be the best public education system. Right.
And don't hand my kid a laptop and tell him to go on the internet and learn how to do stuff.
Yeah. Or if you're going to do that, fine. I'll just take the laptop and go home, and we might as well close the school district. Right. But most people don't want to do that, and that leaves there's a whole bunch of other issues that go with that. So
I'm not certain that the ESAs really get into the homeschooling as well.
They're not available to homeschool families.
Right.
Yep.
And those parents, I think, have a legitimate gripe. They have
they have to pay the same taxes.
Yep. They have to pay the same standard, or they have to get the kids to the same standards. If there's a 5th grade standard, that kid has to still be at the 5th grade standard. He can't sit home and watch YouTube all day long.
Right.
So there just needs to be some reworking of how that's laid out, I think.
Yeah.
And I know property tax is a big thing. It looks like they're going to punt on that again this year. And this is what we talked about kind of on the way over. What was it called? The money. The subsidy stuff. Yeah. So it was the subsidy stuff, and she was looking up and found, all this money that goes to all these different companies in the state of Iowa.
Oh.
And I can't.
Public money that goes to private companies for various reasons.
But it's unaccountable spending. So I can't imagine why Bayer would need, multiple millions of dollars from the state of Iowa, and that's tax money that comes from you and I, and it isn't put into some government program. It's put into grants and that's one thing that I'd like to get into with all these grants that we have now, so State Center gets, $2,500 to redo their shelter in their park. Well, that's nice and everybody feels good about it. But what about the other, tens and hundreds of thousands that, that Story and Marshall County pay in?
Yeah. How much did Des Moines have to collect to put, send 2,500 back? I mean, obviously it had to be more than 2,500.
So you feel good about that $2,500 to fix up your shelter, but what happened to the rest of the money? Where did it go? What did it do? And why don't I get to know about it?
Well, and why don't we get to know about it? Like, why does it have to go through Des Moines?
Why can't it stay in State Center?
Can't we find a way to keep it? And the problem with that, one of the problems with that is like we have a system in place that, for some good reasons and probably a lot of bad reasons, has entrenched interests, right? And to undo that, to get from here back to a place where, like, obviously, Story County, the people of Story County are in the best position to know how Story County ought to run.
Yes.
So as much as possible, the money should stay there, the control should stay there, all of that.
So another small example, I had a classmate of mine call me and ask why I was so upset about a project in Nevada. And I said, so I had to try to make it simple for him to understand. And I'm not trying to pick on his intelligence. When things are huge, it's hard to wrap your head around when you make it small.
Like, hey, listen, what's the big deal? Like,
So I said, well, your mom, your dad's gone. Your mom is retired. She's living on probably a fixed income because she's, I think, raising a couple great grandkids, and so she pays her taxes. Those taxes go to Des Moines, and then they get divvied out for all these different things. And I said, meanwhile, we have in Nevada, it was a very poorly thought out project, but we have an old hospital that they moved and it became an empty building. And rather than being disposed of publicly, listed on the open market or the county doing something with it, it got given for $1 to a guy from Georgia. And then I found out that this guy from Georgia had helped the state of Iowa write a grant program, which he in turn used to gain himself $2 million to fix up this hospital in Nevada. Now,
so the control over the public asset was taken from the people of Nevada, given to someone else, and the people of Nevada had to pay for that guy to do whatever he wanted to do with it.
Now, I can only imagine how much of that rent money every month is going to stay in Nevada. It's going to all go to Georgia where the guy lives.
Yeah, that's just...
And that's what I was trying to explain to my friend. I said, your mom pays her taxes, and I would much prefer her taxes be lowered and she get to spend her money the way she wants. Right. Now, this guy in Georgia has every ability to, if he really wants to make apartments out of this old hospital, he has every bit of ability to do that on his own. But he used a grant that he wrote for the state of Iowa to siphon $2 million off there. The city of Nevada had to contribute to make the grant active. So Nevada had to provide $60,000, I think is what it was. But overwhelming disapproval from the city or from the community. Yeah. They didn't want 60 apartments crammed in a historic area. Yeah. And it was another one of them government deals. It was done before we ever knew about it. Yeah. There was nothing we could do. My wife actually sits on the planning and zoning board. The project is all but finished, and they just got the final site plan a couple of weeks ago.
We got to get control back over our own cities, right? Yeah, communities, counties, all that stuff. We just our city councils and all of those need to act with integrity and actually care about us. But
and if
we elect these people. Let's get this back in order.
But if you're doing something for the benefit of the community, I shouldn't. So Nevada Economic Development was pushing this project very hard, and they were posting about it twice a day about what a great idea it was. And I said, look, if this is such a fantastic idea, I don't need you to tell me it's a great idea twice a day. If it's a good idea, I'll get that.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But they wouldn't, they pushed it through. And I talked to somebody at I believe it's the League of Cities in Des Moines.
Okay.
He spoke to me once and then told me he couldn't talk to me anymore because they work for the cities to keep them out of legal trouble, not for me. But I told him we had about an 80% disapproval rate. He said, I would bet it's probably closer to 95. And he said, this type of thing happens all over the state. You know, old hospitals, old schools are getting repurposed into apartments. And he said, almost exclusively, they become a blight on the community. Almost exclusively. He said, I have seen them done right a couple of times, but almost exclusively it will be a blight on your community.
I would just think about like what's been taken from Nevada. Like we haven't even talked about like you guys used to have a hospital there.
Well, they built a new one, so they moved. So they moved to the new hospital, and then they had been using the old hospital as like long-term care.
Okay, well that's.
But then they did move into the new long-term care facility, which left this open. But they didn't open it for sale on the open market, which is what they should have done.
And who should have first priority?
The community,
the people in your community,
right?
Obviously, like,
and that was one of the things that I tried to impress on council members when I talked to them, is so you've got now you're going to cram 60 apartments, weird apartments, into this old hospital building. None of those people are going to live in Nevada. They're 1-bedroom apartments. They're gonna it's bedroom is what it is, and my suggestion on it was you get it, you tear it down, and if you use their numbers on it, put it back into roughly the 14 or 15 building lots that it would have been. And I think using their numbers, it would have come out, and I think it could have been done substantially cheaper because, you know, private sector can always do stuff cheaper.
Yeah, you know a thing or two about developing.
Right, and we have done development before. Yeah. But of those 14 or so building lots, you would have ended up, again, using their numbers, you would end up about $120,000 per lot, which is too much. I mean, you know, that's too much. The lot would have sold for probably 60 to 70, 60-ish.
Yeah.
But you could have had 14 houses, and they would have been nice houses, taxes, which immediately generate property taxes. These are people that live in the community. And if you're going to be building that type of a house in a historic neighborhood, you're going to make those houses look like the historic neighborhood. Yeah. So now you're talking about people that are a little more affluent to be able to build a house like that.
Yep.
These people have kids that are in band or football. These are parents that buy soccer jerseys, that buy Girl Scout cookies, that volunteer at the school or at the church. Right. So now you've created 15 new families in town, not 60 1-bedroom apartments that are they're not going to buy any gas or groceries in town. They're going to do that wherever they work. Yeah. And these people are now vested in our community. So yes, you did lose a little money on the front side of that, but now you've generated more community. Yeah. And you have you have more tax base, you know.
Everything. I mean, it's just
it would have been a far better scenario.
It just comes down to like I wish, you know, our city leaders, well, like this Marion where I grew up, it's like it just feels like, you know, I drive through every now and then now and just see it. It's like it feels like the leaders of this communities care about is everyone other than the people who have deep roots in the community. It's like they're the asset that they try to use to build their little empire of getting more apartments or more, a fancier downtown or
and I'm not opposed to growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it needs to be meaningful growth, and it needs to, you need to have some sort of vision on where you want your town to be. Yeah. Now, do I want Nevada to be Ankeny? No, I don't. Because if I did, I would just move to Ankeny. Right. I like my small town. I like being able to, you know, call the eye doctor on Saturday because my kid stepped on his glasses. Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
You can't do that in Ankeny.
Yeah. Tight knit small communities are amazing.
Call the Story County Recorder on a Saturday because we lost a passport.
Wow.
Or a birth certificate. I'm sorry, and have her run into town and get the birth certificate.
Yeah.
For
I mean,
us.
that's amazing.
Right. That's not. If you tried to do that in Ankeny or Des Moines, you're leaving a message and no one's calling you back.
Right. Yeah.
Not even on Monday or Tuesday.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, just like, I just appreciate that I can tell you care about your community, about the people there, about like, you just want things to be done right. And that's I just appreciate that. Thank you.
I'd like to. I mean, yeah. I mean, we had, every town has their small festival every summer.
Yeah.
And
they're some of the best things.
Yeah. And a handful of years ago, we donated our parking lot for the band to play in. And somebody said, well, how much money did you get for that? I said, nothing.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean nothing? We just told them they could use it.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're not getting paid? I said, no. I said, we make money 364 days a year. I can take one day off for my community.
Yeah.
And they were just baffled by it. Like, why would somebody do that?
Yeah.
And again, we didn't tell anybody. It was through the JCs. We just let them use it.
Yeah. Right.
Make sure you have your insurance. Don't
have
leave a
your
mess.
Insurance, clean it up, whatever. Yeah.
Have a good time.
That's amazing. Yeah. Anyway. Well, I love it. I'm really glad to just sit down and have a conversation with you. Would you mind if I just end this out by say a prayer for you, your campaign, your family?
Sure.
Father, we just lift up Shane and ask for your favor on him, that you would produce peace in his home, Lord, that you would provide the resources he needs for his campaign. Will you just illuminate the issues for the voters in Story County and his whole district where they can make wise decisions? Will you lead them in wisdom to vote for Shane or vote for the right candidate, Lord? We humble ourselves and recognize that you're the one who has all the right solutions. But I ask that for favor on his campaign, that you would raise him up and raise up the issues that are important to you through him, and that you would to produce financial resources for him, media resources, attention resources, just like get the eyeballs on him and his campaign that he needs to make a positive difference in Nevada and all of those surrounding communities. And I pray that he would be a light, regardless of what direction this ends up going, whatever happens. Will you produce light through him so that people can see the truth, and also that he would be formed character-wise, where the benefits that he gains in the man he becomes and the leader he is in his community and his family through this exercise would be worth it in and of themselves, Lord. But I just pray that you would bless his campaign and that you would lead him to victory. In Jesus' name, amen.